Another 10,000 graduates granted jobs. Cabinet grants permission to President's proposal. Cabinet approval granted to abolish the 19th Amendment and draft the 20th Amendment to the Constitution.
19වෙනි සංශෝධනය අහෝසි කරලා විශේෂයෙන්ම ජනාධිපතිවරයාට දූර කාල දෙකකට වඩා ඉල්ලන්න බැරි කියන කොන්දේසිය ඇති කරන්නේ.
Mahinda Yapabewardana's name proposed to the position of Speaker at a ruling party MP's meeting today. Why was there a nationwide blackout? Was it due to the breakdown at the Norochole coal power plant?
Good evening and welcome to your primetime news right here on News First. Let's start off with a look at your lead story for this evening. Now, the Cabinet of Ministers has granted its approval to recruit more graduates to the public sector. The decision was taken based on a proposal made by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The first cabinet meeting was held at the Presidential Secretariat today. A group of unemployed graduates were gathered outside the Presidential Secretariat while the cabinet meeting was underway. The group alleged that certain names have been removed from the newly published list of employed graduates. The President listened to the woes of the unemployed graduates when he was leaving the premises following the cabinet meeting this afternoon.
අපි අවුරුදු 37යි. ඉතින් මොකද ප්‍රශ්නේ? මේක තමයි අපි නම කැපලා තියෙනවා පුදුලික අපි ඉතින් මොනවත් කැපෙන්නේ නැහැ සර්. ඒ නිසා අපිට මේ අමෝට අපි රෙපෝට් එක දෙනවා. අපි සෑහෙන කාලයක් ලොකු කට්ටිය කියන්නේ ඔක්කොටම අද කැබිනට් එකේ පුරු කරා තම 10000කට. හරි සර්. රෙපෝට් ඔක්කොම දෙනවා.
We are graduates from the year 2012. We were treated unfairly by all the previous governments. We have been removed. The President said they will give jobs for 10,000 more, and we hope our names are included in that list. The President admitted that some are more than 45 years old. They have been home since 2012. This is not a problem we should solve. The government should solve it. I was doing an ordinary job with a degree. Once I started working, I got a letter stating that EPF and ETF are deducted. I was working for a monthly salary of 13,500 rupees. I am left with nothing now.
They can't just verbally make promises. They have to give us a solution in writing before the 25th. If not, on the 2nd, a group will report to work and another will not.
The President presented a cabinet paper to give jobs to 10,000 more graduates. There were issues with certain applicants. They were removed because of issues about the EPF numbers. The President presented a cabinet paper proposing to grant jobs to all. Therefore, another 10,000 graduates will be given jobs. We tell those who are protesting that the President will take care of them.
ඔබතුමාලා එකගයි එතකොට දුන්නොත් මම මේකයි හැමතුමා ජල බිලට අත තියනවාද කොහොමද වැඩි වෙනවද අඩු වෙනවද ජනතාවට මොන වගේ සහනයක්ද දෙන්නේ සහනයක් නැහැ දැන්ට ජනතාව අමාරුවෙන් හැබැයි ඉන්නේ ඔව් අමාරුවෙන් ඉන්නේ මේ ජලයේ බිල නිසා නෙමෙයි ජීවන වියදමේ වෙනත් හේතු නිසා සහන මොකක්ද සාකච්ඡා නැහැ අයවැයකින් නෙවෙයි අයවැයක් ඒවි සැප්තැම්බරේ දැන් අලුත් කැබිනට්ටුවක් තියෙන අලුත් ආණ්ඩුවක් ඇත්තටම ජනතාවට මේක සෙතක් වෙයිද ඉදිරියේදී සෙතක් නෙමෙයි ජනතාවට බලාපොරොත්තු නොවූ අනාගත සංවර්ධනයක ආරම්භය ඇති වේවි.
Meanwhile, the Cabinet has approved the drafting of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, which will bring changes to the 19th Amendment of the Constitution. Minister Kehelia Rambukwala said the process will begin soon. The minister added that Cabinet approval has been granted to refer the draft of the amendment to the Attorney General.
ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධන
Some parts of the 19th Amendment will be retained while removing the others. There is another plan to introduce a new constitution as well. The latest plan is to prepare a draft to amend the constitution.
ඔබතුමාගේ මතය මොකද 19 සංශෝධනය කළා?
ඒකේ යම් දේවල් අයින් කරන්න යම් දේවල් තියාගන්න.
ඔබතුමාලා කලින් කිව්වේ මේක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ.
19 මම නම් කිව්වේ නෑ.
19 කොහොමද වෙනස් කරන්න ඔබතුමාලා හදන්නේ?
තාම ඒකේ
I cannot provide a definite answer to that as we didn't receive a cabinet paper, but we discussed about it. Before the election, we said that the constitution would be amended. We discussed which provisions must be retained.
ඕනේ කියලා කොටස් පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරා. මේ 19 විතරක් අල්ලගෙන
We completely oppose the revision to the 19th Amendment alone. A new constitution can resolve all these issues. They say it takes 2 years to bring the new constitution. I think by that time they will lose the 2/3 majority and might only have 1/3. Then they will say that they don't have the 2/3 majority and that it cannot be done. It only takes 10 months for a baby to be born. Why does it take 2 years to introduce a new constitution? The 19th Amendment must be revised swiftly. The rift between the President and the Prime Minister is not there now. We don't see any urgency in revising the 19th Amendment unless it is to fulfill someone else's selfish desires.
පොදුජන එක්සත් පෙරමුණට
The Podujana Eksat Peramuna does not have the 2/3 majority in the parliament. They can obtain the 2/3 majority by obtaining the support of parties in the north and the east like the EPDP and the TMVP. These parties have continuously put forward several demands. They have been of the stance that the 13th Amendment must be implemented. They will seek some amendments to implement the 13th Amendment if they are to lend their support for a 2/3 majority. We don't feel that there is an urgent need to revise the 19th Amendment instead of bringing a new constitution. If this is done in a hurry and ends up damaging the government's image, then it would impede the government's attempt to bring forth a new constitution.
ආණ්ඩුවට තියෙන සදාචාර බලයේ සුජාතභාවයේ පිළිබඳව ගැටලුවක් මතුවෙන්න පුළුවන්.
When they put forward the 20th Amendment, we will express our views and speak against the harmful provisions in it. Should this country move forward or backward? If the 19th Amendment is revised, will positive measures like the Right to Information Act be withdrawn? Will the independent commissions be removed? We will unconditionally oppose the 20th Amendment if it does not benefit the people but only meets the needs of the politicians.
අවශ්‍යතා පිරිමහා ගන්න දෙයක් නම් ඒකට කොන්දේසි නැතුව අපි විරුද්ධ වෙනවා.
ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයට අදාළව ආරම්භක කැබිනට් පත්
The cabinet paper with regard to the constitutional amendment was presented to the cabinet today. It proposed to appoint an expert committee to draft a new constitution. It also proposes to abolish the 19th Amendment while retaining the 2-term limit for a president to contest for the post. There were certain provisions the people agreed with. In the initial step, we will retain them and repeal the provisions that are detrimental to the country. In the second phase, a new constitution will be drafted and presented.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට අහෝසි කරන්න ඊට පස්සේ අලුත් ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවක්.
Now, MPs of the ruling party attended a meeting at the Presidential Secretariat this evening where a decision was reached to propose the name of Mahinda Yapa Abewardena to the position of the Speaker of the Parliament. These are some of the views expressed by the ruling party after the meeting concluded. During today's meeting, we decided to propose Mahinda Yapa Abewardena to the post of the Speaker of the Parliament. Ranjit Siambala PTA was proposed to the post of Deputy Speaker and Jaffna MP Angajan Ramanathan for the post of Deputy Chairman of the Working Committee.
ඔබතුමා නම යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා දැන් හිට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මේ කතානායකවරයා හැටි.
ඔව් ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ යෝජනා වුණා.
කොහොමද ඔබතුමා සූදානම්ද මේ තනතුර බාර ගන්න?
දෙන ඕන තනතුර බාර ගන්නවම සූදානම්ෙන් ඉන්නවා.
ඔබතුමා කොහොමද වැඩපළේ වල කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන කතානායකතුමා විදියට?
විවේචන ඇතිවීම ඉතින් ස්වාභාවිකයි.
Criticism is part of the norm. When things are positive on one hand, the other may turn out to be negative. However, we hope to carry out our duties in a fair manner.
පරිග මට්ටමේ සාධාරණත්වය ඉෂ්ට කිරීමටයි බලාපොරොත්තු.
නැවත සිකුරාදා
Parliament will be convened this Friday once again to present a supplementary estimate for the next couple of months. Thereafter, the budget for 2021 will be presented in November.
අදාළ අයවැය ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
පක්ෂ කොහොමද ඔබතුමාගේ නායකතුමාගේ තනතුර කොහොමද දැන් කල් යනවා එන්නේ?
තාම නෑ බලමු.
කලකිරීම වගේ මොකද?
නෑ කිසි කලකිරීමක් නෑ.
ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයෙන් පස්සේ දෙන්නේ
කියන්න බෑ. ඔව් මම හිතන්නේ එතනින් පස්සේ සීරණ වෙයි.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ආවද? මොකද එතුමා කියන්නේ දැන් ඔබතුමාලට?
මොකුත් නෑ ඉතින් අපි සාකච්ඡා කරන්නේ.
කල් ඉන්න වෙයිද තනතුරු ලැබෙන්නේ?
එතුමා දාලා දුන්නානේ Facebook එකේ. ඒක වෙයි.
කියන පොඩි කතාවක් තියෙනවනේ.
නෑ මොකුත් කතා නෑ. හරි කතාවක් තියෙන්නේ.
හරි. පෙර පරිදි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ හැසිරෙන බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවද ඔබතුමා?
I do not hope to behave in such a manner. I had to behave in such a manner because of the controversial actions of the then speaker. We will not face such a situation again. We will carry out our duties now.
සහ ඉතුවක්කාර වැඩත් එක්ක තමයි ඒ වෙලාවේ ඉස්සරෙන් උනේ. අපිට දැන් මේ කාලෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. වැඩ කරන්න තියෙන අපි වැඩ කරනවා.
දැන් අමාත්‍යංශය ලැබෙයිද කොහොමද?
I did not request for any position, but on one hand, I think I deserve a position.
ලැබිය යුතුයි නමුත් මම දන්නේ නැහැ.
Now, the inaugural cabinet media briefing of the new government was held at 7 p.m. this evening. The following views were expressed at the media briefing.
Normally, the budget will be presented in November and will be debated until December. That will be the budget for 2021.
එතකොට අතුරු සම්මත ගිණුම කොච්චර වගේ වටිනාකමක් තියනවාද කියලා කතා වුණාද? මුදල් අමාත්‍ය ලේකම්තුමා කිව්වා ට්‍රිලියන් එකකට එහා යයි කියලා වටිනාකම ගැන සාකච්ඡා වුණාද?
ඔය සම්බන්ධව
That can be determined once the Ministry of Finance makes a decision. Traditionally, they do not inform us beforehand. That will be presented in Parliament. You will be able to see it tomorrow.
අලට බලා ගන්නට පුළුවන්.
තව එක කාරණයක් මේ දැන් අද රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරුන් 40ට අදාළව අමාත්‍යාංශ ලේකම්වරුන් පත්‍රිකාවක් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමක් සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒකට අනුමැතිය ලැබුණාද? ලැබුණානේ.
Firstly, you said that the presidential term of 5 years will remain and the two-term limits will stay as per the 19th Amendment when you carry forward to the 20th. You all also mentioned that the RTI will remain, but what about the independent institutions?
Whatever the positive features of the 19th Amendment will be retained, that are yet to be decided. Today we empowered the Minister of Justice to draft the 20th Amendment. Once he tables that to the Cabinet only, we see what are the positive characteristics of the 19th Amendment according to his perspective. Then we will discuss about it, what to retain, what to repeal.
Eminent panel will be established to study constitutional change. How many members will make up this panel and who will appoint them?
Minister of Justice was assigned to recommend a panel to the Cabinet for Cabinet approval. The number or the composition, personalities, characteristics of such persons have not been decided. It was an open mandate for the Minister of Justice to decide who should be there, but in the end it should be approved by the Cabinet.
Now, power cuts are being imposed for 2 hours and 45 minutes daily following the island-wide power outage reported earlier this week. But what is the story behind the power crisis? These were the views expressed by former parliamentarian of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Sunil Handunetti, during the Satana TV program on our sister channel, Sirasa TV.
The Norochole power plant had broken down. They said it would take a few days to repair the cooling system. They are not doing that properly as well. They rectified the technical fault and supplied power after certain hours. Why are they imposing power cuts after that? They will then put forward a proposal to purchase power. These days they are executing a plan to purchase power. Based on that plan, they are saying that they have sources to purchase power. It is amidst such a situation that they once attempted to install barge-mounted power plants. They will then bring around 50 electricity generators, saying that they are portable. They will then place them in Sapukaskanda and that would be it. The people who are seeking to purchase power are now running around hoping to achieve their aim. They purchase power at a high cost. The new minister does not have adequate knowledge on this subject. Some officers might be on the process of making arrangements to purchase power at a high price without the knowledge of the minister and the secretary. They purchase power as they cannot leave the people in the dark. Using this as a reason, they purchase a unit of power at around 45 or 50 rupees when it can be bought at 25 rupees. After a few weeks, observe how electricity bills would be hiked. That is what has happened in the past as well. There is a power generation plant in the country that has been sidelined. Why were the Public Utilities Commission and the Ceylon Electricity Board involved in a tussle? Power can't be purchased without the permission of the Public Utilities Commission, but it can be done without an approval under an emergency. Minister Dulles can find out who is creating this emergency. That is mafia. When we speak about these things, those who do not vote for us are implying that we must not speak against the government. That means that the people are willing to be in the dark as they are against scolding the government. We are not scolding the government. We are revealing the truth. We must tell the people not to assume that we are scolding the government. This is a mafia. If one of us is in the dark tonight, I wish to state that it is not due to a fault in Norochole. If there is a damage, then it can be identified beforehand. They might be causing the damage deliberately so that they can purchase power. They are creating a situation in which nothing is left to do. There are rich companies behind this. I will not reveal their names as the people are against that. If possible, tell Dallas to appoint a commission and find out who damaged Norochole.
පුළුවන් නම් ඩලස් මහත්තයෝ හෙට කොමිසමක් දාලා හොයාගන්න නොරොච්චෝලේ කැඩුවේ කවුද කියලා.
According to the Ceylon Electricity Board, the nationwide blackout on Monday has occurred due to a malfunction at the subgrid station in Keravalapitia. Thereafter, due to a breakdown at the Norochole power plant, the CEB has decided to cut the supply of power from time to time across the country. The CEB said today that at least 3 days would be taken to restart the power generation process at the Norochole Lakvijaya power plant. However, quite contrary to this, specialists on power and energy and trade unions point out that there is no reason as to why a breakdown occurred at the Norochole power plant due to the malfunction that took place at the Keravalapitia power plant. There is no reason as to why the entire country would lose power due to a human error at the Keravalapitia subgrid station, because the breakdown has to stop at the Katukoda subgrid station. If the breakdown continues to the Norochole power plant, then it can't be considered as negligence. We asked the President to direct his attention towards this by appointing a presidential commission to look into what is being done at the CEB. Cutting the power supply is something that shouldn't have been done at this moment, because there is a large number of generators that could have been added to the system.
පද්ධතියට එකතු කළ හැකි ජනන යන්ත්‍ර තා විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා.
So the reasons given for the total blackout of the country that happened a few days ago is a fault, a human error took out the Keravalapitia grid substation. However, what has also happened is there's a earth fault in one of the bus bars in Norochole power plant, which knocked off the unit 1 of Norochole coal plant. Now, from what we know, the kind of fault that happened in Keravalapitia cannot trigger a earth fault in the bus bar. So whether these are actually connected events or two independent events is something that the expert committee is inquiring into, and it is tripping of Norochole and not an issue in Keravalapitia power plant that seems to have triggered the island-wide blackout. The chairman of CEB coming on TV and saying the answer to this problem is to build another coal plant in the same location, same type. Now I had to remind that if we had 4 coal plants in Norochole, all 4 coal plants will not be working at this point of time, and we probably would have had not just 1 hour of power cuts or 2 or 3 more power cuts than what is currently going on. So only thing it will do is that it will increase the risk and it will compromise the energy security of this country. We also know that this power plant, the 4th plant expansion is actually opposed by all of the engineers in Norochole existing current plant. A petition to that has been handed over to the engineers union, signed by over 60 engineers, including the power plant head. It seems to me certain people in the CEB is trying to, accelerate a coal plant which will actually not solve problems but make Sri Lanka's energy grid more unstable and more likely to create catastrophic failures like the one.
A new government has been established and not a week has passed. Something sinister that is invisible to us has happened here. Is this an attempt to cut off electricity in this country to put a burden on the people and push through mega projects or build some businesses in the private sector according to the needs of the bureaucracy? I would like to know if there is a conspiracy behind this. Is there any issue regarding the appointment of the minister now, or is it really due to a technical problem? Because the people of this country have faced many difficulties because of this. We would like to know from Minister Dala Salhaperuma. Several explanations have been made regarding this situation, but not a clear one yet. The people of this country are waiting to know what the real situation is.
ඒ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ලැබුණ ඔන්න ලයිට් ගියා. ගේන්නකො මේ කුප්පි ලාම්පුවක්වත්.
ජනතාව ආණ්ඩුවට 3 දුන්නට අපිට දැන් කතා කරන්න වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කුප්පි ලාම්පුව පත්තු කරගෙන.
Although the people gave a 2/3 majority to the government, we have to speak using the light of lamps. I think our authorities are deliberately creating a power crisis because it wants to forego the energy that our country can easily generate from the sun and instead take electricity from generators so that commissions can be made for the needs of some of the top officials in the CEB as well as former ministers in this country. We can see that a power crisis is being created. Now earlier on our primetime news bulletin on our sister channel Sirasa TV, the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board was questioned on this matter. Not only the people of this country, but certain individuals representing governing authorities have expressed ideas or pointed fingers about the state of electricity in the country. Now, as a responsible party to this, we have invited the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board. He is ready to present his side of the story to us. Now, the first question we have is that if this kind of breakdown has taken place at Kerawalapitia, how did this spread to Norochchole? There's a break in the circuit at Kotugoda.
කොහොමද මේක නොරොච්චෝලේ දක්වා ව්‍යාප්ත වෙන්නේ? කොටුගොඩ උපපලක් තියෙනවා. ඔබලා
මම ඒක පිළිතුරු දෙන්නම්. ඇත්තටම අපි මේක සම්බන්ධව පළවෙනි කාරණේ තමයි.
Yes, with regard to this, the first thing that must be noted is that we presented the facts that were available to us. That was as per the information available. Now the minister has appointed an independent committee and we are also carrying out an internal investigation. But what we know now is that an officer at Kerawalapitia has informed us and accepted that he committed a mistake by 120 milliseconds. It is after that period that Norochchole has tripped. We spoke at the time with the belief that all this was connected one to another. But now the situation is such that 300 odd megawatt power plant in Kerawalapitia got malfunctioned and then the Norochchole plant also malfunctioned. Our belief is that this happened through the center. But now we have appointed a committee and in a week we will see what has happened.
සතියක් ඇතුළත කොමිටුවක් දානවා. ඒ කොමිටුවෙන් තීරණය කරමු අපි මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ කියලා.
ඒක දැන් Norochchole.
Now some specialists speak of some issue that came up with the first generator in Norochchole.
කියනවා.
නෑ ෆෝල්ට් එකක් නෙමෙයි උනේ. ෆෝල්ට් එකක්
පළමු යන්ත්‍රයේ බස් බා එකේ earth fault එකක් කියන එක තමයි.
නෑ. එහෙම
That is not what happened. That also we will see for certain in the report. It is not right for me to comment.
මොකක්ද කියලා?
We know that the Kerawalapitia plant releases approximately 135 megawatts to the national grid.
300ක් මුදා හැරෙනවා. ඒ වෙලාවේ අවශ්‍යතාවය තිබ්බේ මොකද මේකේ ගල්ලංගුරු වලින් ගන්න වියදම අඩුයි. ඊට වඩා අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ HFO කියන එක. HFO එක වැඩි හින්දා ඒකෙන් ඒ වෙලාවට 135යි අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ.
දැන් එතකොට මේ 135 ආවරණය කරගන්න ක්‍රමයක් තිබුණ නැද්ද? මේ 135 නැතිවීම හන්දමද මුළු ලංකාවටම විදුලිය නැති වෙන්නේ?
නෑ ඒක තමයි මං කිව්වේ. එතන කෙරවලපිටියේ විසන්ධි වීම.
The power plants in Kerawalapitia and Norochchole generates approximately 1000 megawatts. Based on what was reported to us, the failure in the Kerawalapitia power plant and the system failure in Norochchole was the reason behind the blackout. However, this is not the final conclusion. An independent committee has been appointed to look into this matter. I cannot talk on behalf of anyone. This is not the final decision.
එහෙම නැතුව මට කවුරුවත් සුද්ධ කරන්නවත් මේක අවසාන තීරණය නෙවෙයි. අපි ඒක මත
කමිටුව හරහා ගන්න යම්කිසි වරදකරුවන් ඉන්නවනම් ඔවුන්ට එරෙහිව ඔබලා
අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඒකේ පැහැදිලි.
Yes, we will. The economy suffered a loss of approximately 1 billion rupees. The entire country was inconvenienced. As the Ceylon Electricity Board, action will be taken against the wrongdoers.
අධිපතිතුමා ඒ වගේ විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම දැඩි තීරණ ගන්නවා මේ කවුරු කෙනෙක්.
Meanwhile, Minister of Power Dalasalaha Peruma assumed duties at the ministry today. The minister on his Facebook account said he assumed duties in a simple setting without wasting people's money.
Now the CID arrested a sub-inspector attached to the Mana STF camp as Intelligence and Special Operations OIC. The arrest was in relation to investigations into a large-scale drug trafficking and related investigations into arms smuggling.
A team of officers attached to the Police Narcotics Bureau has been arrested by the CID in connection with this investigation. They are currently being questioned while being under detention orders. The police media division stated that the sub-inspector attached to the police special task force was arrested based on the information obtained from the suspects. The arrested suspect is a 49-year-old resident of Veheragolla, Puakpitia. He was arrested last night after CID officers questioned him and recorded his statements. Police said that further investigations are being carried out on the suspect in accordance with the provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Meanwhile, a journalist has been arrested by the CID on drug trafficking charges based on information obtained from officers of the Police Narcotics Bureau who have been detained. The Police Media Division stated that a 30-year-old journalist residing in the Ambakolavawa area in Medamulana was arrested. He was arrested on charges of working as a journalist during the COVID-19 pandemic-related preventive measures to mislead the security forces and assist in the smuggling of firearms into the Pitipana area in Homagama. The police stated that he was arrested for aiding and abetting the distribution of firearms to organized crime groups and various individuals. Investigations have revealed that he had displayed a journalist name board in a van belonging to a suspect who is currently on detention orders and had assisted in bringing these illegal firearms to the Pitipana area in Homagama by misusing his journalist accreditation card. Police say that the suspect is currently being held at the CID on a detention order and is being questioned. A suspect has been arrested with 3 firearms and a stock of ammunition in a raid carried out by the Mirigama Police and the Western Provincial Intelligence Unit. The arrests were made during a raid carried out in the Nalla area in Mirigama. The owner of a garage has thus been arrested. According to information received by the Western Province intelligence officials, 2 revolvers and 2 other firearms were found during a search operation carried out by the Mirigama Police. In addition, a pair of handcuffs, 64 rounds of ammunition, a T-56 bullet, army, police and civil defense uniforms were also found. The 45-year-old suspect has been released from prison after being convicted of locally manufacturing firearms called galkatas and selling them to the underworld. The suspect is scheduled to be produced in courts tomorrow. Meanwhile, one of the 4 suspects arrested in Paduka with 1 kilogram of heroin has been detained for 7 days. The suspect was produced before the Hulsdorf Magistrates Court today. The detainee being questioned is a work inspector attached to the Kolonava Municipal Council. He was found in possession of 1.1 kilograms of heroin, while another suspect was found in possession of 10 grams of heroin. Police said the street value of the heroin was close to 12 million rupees. Police have also taken into custody a car and 2 3-wheelers used by the suspect to smuggle heroin.
Secretary of Defence retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne, addressing a meeting in the southern province, said that strict action will be taken against officials who are involved in corrupt activities.
If we are to end this, legal action must be taken against corrupt officials at state institutions. There are many honest public officials, but there are some corrupt officials as well. They act in a manner that would damage the good work done by honest officials. Just as we are engaged in the endeavor of eradicating the waves of organized crime, the drug menace and ransom, we have to clean our own institutions from within. When things like this are being done right under our noses, there is a huge problem there. That is why we have taken steps to stop it. We can say that we have done it on the day we have taken legal action against the last corrupt official.
Now, former State Intelligence Service Director SDIG Nilantha Jayawardena has said that former President Maithripala Sirisena was not informed about an impending attack last year.
In a testimony at the Presidential Commission probing last year's April 21st attacks, former SIS Director Nilantha Jayawardena said former President Maithripala Sirisena was not informed of foreign intelligence warnings received on the 4th of April about an attack. He noted that the intelligence warnings were not mentioned in a threat assessment report prepared before the then President's visit to Batticaloa on the 12th of April last year. He said the warning had not been mentioned as it was not relevant to the President's visit. The witness observed that an intelligence meeting scheduled to be held weekly had not taken place regularly since the political crisis in October 2018. He added that only 3 intelligence meetings had taken place in 2019 before the attacks had taken place. The witness said that the SIS had informed IGP Pujit Jayasundara that the police had not conducted a proper inquiry on the bicycle explosion that had taken place in Kartankudi on the 16th of April. He cited the explosion was a dry run conducted by the National Tawhid Jamaat group leader Zaharan Hashim days before the attack.
Now, amidst all the debates and controversy in the political sphere, there are many problems of the public that have gone unnoticed, and the human-elephant conflict is one of them. This is yet another report from Kurunagala.
This is a herd of elephants that encroach several villages belonging to the Pulpitigama area in Kurunagala. Locals belonging to the Nikavahara and Makulpota villages have been victims of the ongoing human-elephant conflict for some time now. The herd of wild elephants that encroached these villages last night have left a trail of destruction.
We were ready to reap the harvest next week. Look at the state of our cultivation. What are we to do now? This cultivation spreads across half an acre. We cultivated all of this with the greatest of difficulty. We have taken loans to fund our farming activities. We cultivated coconut because sourcing water for other crops was difficult. But now we have no way of protecting them.
With no fences to protect their cultivation, these villagers are forced to use other methods to chase away the encroaching wild elephants.
This is how we chase them. We don't have firecrackers or anything else to scare them away, so we use a kerosene lamp.
Deprived from sleep at night, these locals await the day when a solution will be given to address their problems. Newsfirst correspondent Rowan Pereira visited the L1 Kulame village in Puttalam, another area that has fallen victim to the ongoing human-elephant conflict.
Farming is the main source of income for these villagers. At night, these farmers must protect their cultivations from wild elephants.
This village that provides shelter to 400 families have cultivated across 600 acres of paddy land. The elephants encroach the villages at around 6 in the evening. I have 3 children. They claim the elephant fences that have been set up do not provide any protection to the villages or their crops. They urge the authorities to provide them with a solution to ease their burdens.
Now, Mali's president, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, has resigned after being detained by soldiers.
In a televised address, he said he was also dissolving the government and parliament.
If today it pleased with some elements of our armed forces to conclude that it should end with their intervention, do I really have a choice? Because I do not wish for any blood to be spilled to keep me in office. That is why I wish right now, whilst thanking the people of Mali for joining me throughout these long years with warmth and affection, to announce my decision to resign from this moment with all the consequences, the dissolution of the National Assembly and of the government.
This morning, the military leaders behind the suspected coup, a group who identified themselves as the National Committee for the Salvation of People, addressed the nation promising a political transition, elections with a reasonable time and a national curfew. Colonel Major Ismail Wagu, a spokesperson for CNSP, announced that as of today, all air and land borders would be closed until further notice, and a national curfew would be imposed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. local time. It is unclear if the military is now officially in charge of the country. Earlier, Keita and Prime Minister Sis were detained by soldiers in a dramatic escalation of a months-long crisis in the country. The development came hours after soldiers took up arms and staged a mutiny at a key base in Kati, a town close to Bamako. A spokesman for the soldiers called for a civil political transition leading to credible general elections. The events came amidst a weeks-long political crisis that has seen opposition protesters taking to the streets to demand the departure of Keita, accusing him of allowing the country's economy to collapse and mishandling a worsening security situation. Mali's years-long conflict, in which ideologically motivated armed groups have stoked ethnic tensions while jockeying for power, has spilled into the neighboring countries of Niger and Burkina Faso, de-establishing the wider Sahel region and creating a massive humanitarian crisis.
Now, a group of bhikkhus supporting the United National Party arrived at the Sirikota party headquarters today.
The bhikkhus held discussions with Ranil Wickremesinghe about party reforms and its leadership during their visit.
නායකතුමා කිසි දෙයකට නම්මශීලී නෑ. මින් පස්සේ අපේ හාමුදුරුවෝ නෑ සිරිකොතට.
රනිල් මහත්තයාට කිසි උවමනාවක් නෑ. ඒක නැත්නම් නැති කරන්න ඒකට උවමනා තියෙනවා. අපිට ඕනේ මේ පක්ෂය ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න. ඒකට අපි නායකයෙක්පත් කරගන්න කියලා. ඉතින් රනිල් මහත්තයාට කිසි උවමනාවක් නෑ ඒ වගේ. සාර්ථකුනේ නැද්ද සාකච්ඡාව? හරිය නැගිටලා ගියා.
The United National Party will not have any candidates. It will be left with no one. The party will have to appoint a Sinhalese Buddhist leader to save this party. The leader accused us for presenting our ideas. He did not listen to us.
I handed over a letter containing the signatures of all Theros to the leader. Whom else to give this to? We cannot give it to either Akila Viraj Karyavasam or Sagala Ratnayaka. We have to give it to the leader of the party. Then the leader said that we have accused him in the letter. We have not accused him of anything. Everyone in the working committee of the UNP and all the candidates who contested in the recently concluded election thinks that Karu Jayasuriya should be appointed as the leader of the UNP. A letter containing that was handed over to the current leader of the UNP by the Mahasangha, but he rejected it. As a leader, you cannot refute it. Then you have to step down from leadership and secure the democratic right. I don't think a bright future would be created by refusing this. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa worked towards his victory since the time he lost. We kept losing since we last won. There was no response for this request made by the Mahasangha. We just started. We will not attack the UNP, but we will not tell you what steps we will take against the current leadership. This is just a mild attack. We have bigger weapons in our arsenal. I am the secretary of the United Bhikkhu Front. I will still be here the day the UNP cease to exist, and the UNP will still be here the day I cease to exist. I say this with utmost regret and sadness. If you ignore the Theros, the leaders of the UNP will have to face ugly consequences. We would like to remind the leadership that we might have to do things we have never done before.
Now, attempts to resolve the issue of the nationalist seat of the Our Power of People party ended in failure today as well.
The chairman of the party and its general secretary arrived at the National Election Commission to inquire about the matter. However, a final decision is yet to be reached on the matter as the former secretary of the party is still in hiding.
Venerable Hunupitiya Chandrasiri Thero had received a message through the media secretary of Venerable Vimalatissa Thero. He lodged a complaint with the IGP stating that Venerable Vedinikama Thero has been abducted with the intervention of the police. We wish to request the IGP and the Defence Secretary to conduct an investigation into this and to locate him.
Upon seeking advice in this regard, the Attorney General has instructed the Election Commission to make a decision based on the person who is accepted as the General Secretary of the party.
There is a problem involving Professor Hool here. The advice sent by the Attorney General has been misinterpreted. They will review that and most probably announce the final decision tomorrow. There was something like that. His media secretary said that there were 2 police officers at that time. We have identified them. We are facing a problem on which unit will take this matter forward.
The United National Party is yet to name their nationalist parliamentary representative. Tomorrow's inaugural session of the 9th Parliament will take place with 2 vacant seats. The inaugural session will begin at 9:30 a.m. and will see the appointment of the Parliament Speaker and the swearing in of parliamentarians. The President is scheduled to present the government's policy. Based on the President's request, we will commence proceedings after partaking in a local meal instead of a guard of honor by the Tri-Forces. The seats would not be allocated in the morning. We have decided on the allocation of seats during that time will take place in the evening during the session. The main duty would be to choose the Speaker. The General Secretary will then request the parliamentarians to put forward their nominations. If one name is nominated, then that person would become the Speaker. However, if more than one name is nominated, we will elect the Speaker following a secret ballot. We will follow the same method to elect a Deputy Speaker and the Deputy Chairman of committees. Now, the Central Environment Authority has said that it will not permit any construction or development work that will affect the Singharaja forest. The Central Environment Authority Chairman S. Amarasinghe said that an investigation is being carried out into the claims that the refurbishment of a road is damaging the Singharaja forest.
The expansion of an old road running from Nellore to Lanka had begun during the first week of this month. The refurbishment of the road from Lanka to Dombagoda, that is located 4 kilometers from the starting point, had been taking place with the intervention of the Road Development Authority and the Sri Lanka Army. The objective of the project was to expand the width of the road from 8 to 12 feet. The Dombagoda area is located 2 kilometers off the borders of the Singharaja forest. However, the Department of Forest Conservation and the Central Environmental Authority told Newsfirst that written permission has not been granted for the construction of the road. This was the footage of the road captured by the leader of the National Green Front, Pathum Kerner, while travelling along the road yesterday. The village of Lanka is believed to be 500 years old. For a very long time, area residents have been requesting authorities to refurbish this road.
We have to travel 13 kilometers to go to the hospital. By that time, either the mother or the child would be dead. There are ample instances in which this has taken place in this village. Therefore, repairing this road is good for the future generations as well. If there are roads like this, the forest would be given more protection as well. When the road is of a good condition, people of any status will travel through this. Now people are reluctant to even find for firewood. The villagers are trying to protect the forest.
According to a study carried out by the National Green Front, it is a 1.2 kilometer segment of the road that would affect the Singharaja Forest Reserve.
When the road was constructed in 2013, the activities were halted in 2019 with the intervention of the UNESCO. I know that there is a 12 feet wide road in the area. There is a road that runs through Deniai as well. They're expanding the roads. What is the objective of doing that? Did the people protest against this? During the election campaign, did anyone demand that the road be expanded? If they are trying to give everything that the people demand, then we might lose the Singharaja forest as well. If they assume that the World Heritage Singharaja forest is useless, then they can destroy it completely and construct some hotels in the middle of the forest by using their powers to obtain the necessary machinery and equipment for the construction of the road. They now have the 2/3 majority.
That situation has been rectified. The road from the Denia electorate runs from Dombagoda to Pitadenia and is 6 kilometers long. 400 meters of it runs through the Singharaja forest. From there onwards, there is another 11-kilometer portion of the road that runs from Pitadenia. Development has not taken place across the portion of 1.1 kilometers of the road. The road runs through private lands.
Why are they using the army to do these activities? The Pradesh Sabha and the Urban Development Authority are constructing roads. Now the Sri Lanka Army is also constructing roads. Gotabaya Rajapaksa is the defense minister. He is the country's president. His nephew Nipuna Ranawaka is the president of the District Coordination Committee. Regardless of how much we voice our opposition against this, Nipuna Ranawaka has more power than both of us as the chairman of the Mathura District Coordination Committee. We wish to ask Nipuna Ranawaka and the president to visit the road while being accompanied by the media and then examine whether the road is essential or not and whether it is harmful to the Singharaja forest.
There are 38 earmarked trees in that location. I don't believe that the District Coordination Committee will permit any form of construction that can affect the Singharaja forest. This has been done upon the directives of the President and the Chairman of the Central Environment Authority. They will submit the relevant feasibility reports stating whether the development of the road can continue to take place or not. For now, no destruction has been caused to the Singharaja forest. We will not allow that to take place as well. I saw that some people have raised accusations against me stating that the road is being constructed for a hotel. I wish to responsibly state that a hotel is not going to be constructed for me or for my family members. If there is something like that, I am challenging those who level accusations at me to prove their claims.
We have received a verbal request to prepare a report on this immediately. Our officials have begun an assessment on that. It is being carried out right now. Accordingly, we have identified a development activity taking place through a private land. We will conduct an assessment on the road that is running through the environmental zone. We hope to issue a report immediately on the project that is expected to be carried out by the Highways Ministry on how it could be carried out without affecting the environment. The report will focus on how development activities can take place across the environmental zone. Our officials have intervened to do the needful.
Now, Rohan Velivita has been appointed as the Media Secretary of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Senior journalist Rohan Velivita received his appointment letter from Prime Minister's Secretary Gamini Senarath. Rohan Velivita served as a media advisor to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa when he was the Minister of Fisheries in 2000. Further, he also served as the media secretary to Prime Minister Rajapaksa when he held the position of opposition leader for the first time. Velivita had served as media secretary to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on subsequent occasions and had also worked in the capacity of media secretary, consultant and the President's coordinating secretary.
Now, the Otters Aquatic Sports Club, one of the oldest sports clubs in the country, has faced dire consequences due to negligence of its present authorities.
The Otters Aquatic Sports Club, which was established in the year 1933, has exceeded 5,000 members and more than 3,000 members pay their annual membership fees. However, this 87-year-old sports club is under the risk of losing its establishment for not paying government taxes and for not completing other necessary payments for a long period of time. The Thimbirigasyaya Divisional Secretariat, issuing a release, has informed the sports club to hand over the clear ownership of the land on or before the 30th of September of 2020. When Sports first inquired the current chairman of the Otters Aquatic Sports Club, he accepted that relevant payments have not been made. He further added that the amount due to be paid at the moment is 30 million rupees. He said that he is hoping to give the plot of land where the sports club establishment is located to construct a supermarket and settle the due payments.
Now, the Pathfinder Foundation, together with Indian think tank Vivekananda International Foundation, conducted a webinar on bilateral relations between India and Sri Lanka on the themes regional and geopolitical environment and Indo-Lanka trade and economic relations.
The virtual session focused on trade and economic relations between Sri Lanka and India, while pointing out areas of focus to enhance economic relations between the two nations. The session on regional geopolitical environment focused on how the COVID-19 pandemic has created a new world order where Sri Lanka, although a smaller nation, has been successful in meeting challenges. The discussion also brought out concerns related to public mistrust of the free trade agreements and how to overcome this issue by increasing transparency. The two delegations were headed by Chairman of the Pathfinder Foundation, Bernard Gunathilaka, and Dr. Arvind Gupta, Director of Vivekananda International Foundation, along with several other industry experts.
Well, that's a wrap of your news for this evening. Thank you for stopping by. For the Newsfirst team, we've been Brian De Cruz as your interpreter, and I've been Deshan Gonavala. Have a great day. Good night.